Welcome to Bible Reader Companion. Our Bible reading this week is Matthew chapters 13 through 22, and our memory verse is Matthew chapter 16 and verse 25, which reads in the New King James Version, "For whoever desires to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it." We've looked this week at Jesus talking about the need of sacrifice and the need to have faith, but we need to also understand the impact that our lack of faith or that our actions can have on costing others their salvation. In Matthew chapter 18 and beginning in verse 1, we read this. Matthew 18, beginning in verse 1, New King James Version. "At that time the disciples came to Jesus, saying, 'Who then is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?' Then Jesus called a little child to him, set him in the midst of them, and said, 'Assuredly I say to you, unless you are converted and become as little children, you will by no means enter the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever humbles himself as this little child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Whoever receives one little child like this in my name receives me. Whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for him if a millstone were hung around his neck and he were drowned in the depth of the sea. Woe to the world because of offenses, for offenses must come, but woe to that man by whom the offense comes. If your hand or foot causes you to sin, cut it off and cast it from you. It is better for you to enter into life lame or maimed, rather than having 2 hands or 2 feet to be cast into the everlasting fire. And if your eye causes you to sin, pluck it out and cast it from you. It is better for you to enter into life with 1 eye, rather than having 2 eyes to be cast into hellfire. Take heed that you do not despise one of these little ones, for I say to you that in heaven their angels always see the face of my Father who is in heaven. For the Son of Man is come to save that which was lost. What do you think? If a man has 100 sheep and one of them goes astray, does he not leave the 99 and go to the mountain to seek the one that is straying? If he should find it, assuredly I say to you, he rejoices more over that sheep than over the 99 that did not go astray. Even so, it is not the will of your Father in heaven that one of these little ones should perish." The discussion starts over who's the greatest in the kingdom. And to their surprise, he says, it's those who humble themselves. It's those who have humility. That's what makes you great in the kingdom of God. But then he extends that out and he says, just as you have these little children, you've got to be careful not to cause a stumbling block for them. Woe to the man through whom the offense comes. But then he also says, look, he comes back to the same idea of what we were talking about in our memory verse. And that is, if you have something in your life that's causing you to sin, you've got to get rid of that. You not only want to get rid of what's in your life, you want to make sure that you don't put stumbling blocks in other people's lives. And it's really that important. He says it's better, number one, than to cause a stumbling block for somebody else, to have a millstone hung around your neck and thrown in the sea. Now, you think that's pretty bad, right? It causes you to die. But the eternal cost of causing others to stumble and fall is even greater. And he says, you think about that and you apply that again to your own life. And he says, you got something that's causing you not to be able to serve. You get rid of that. He says, it's like being willing to cut off your hand or your foot or pluck out your eye. You've got to get rid of anything that would prevent you from serving in the kingdom of heaven. He said, even that is worse, is not as bad as spending an eternity in everlasting fire and everlasting punishment. And he goes on to say, God values every single soul. And he doesn't want anything done to trip up or to cost even one of those souls their eternal salvation. So, are we watching out for our salvation? Are we willing to get rid of those things that cause us to fall and falter? And are we willing to remove those things and not put things in others' way that would cause them to stumble and fall? We need to keep in mind Jesus' admonition, for whoever desires to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. Thank you for thinking on these things, and we hope that you will join us again tomorrow.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook for more content like this.